We'll start with the presentation now.
Dr. Rashmi?
Yes, ma'am.
Let the judges join us. They are here. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes for our judges to say the beginning of the event.
Okay, ma'am. Sure,
Right.
ma'am.
So we will.
Okay. At the start of this first technical session, let us chart out certain aspects which will make both the evaluation as well as running of the session a little more comfortable for all of us, including the presenters. How are we going to, Poonam, how are we going to take up the questions? Are the participant teams, how much time would they be have been allotted to each one of them? And are all the members of the team going to make presentation, or is it going to be a one person making the entire presentation? If we can just work on the modalities.
Yeah.
Kiran, if you can just.
Yeah, Dr. Kiran is also here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Rashmi. Yeah, Dr. Diksha, as far
Yes,
as the
ma'am.
presentation is concerned, right? There may be, because we know we are the online thing, and sometimes the connectivity issues there. So if all four are sharing the different slots of presentation, then it is fine, right? And if in case due to some connectivity thing, two are presenting or one is presenting, but they have to be present during the session.
And
ma'am,
the
8
timer
minutes.
Yeah.
8 minutes. They
8
have to.
minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, Rashmi, Dr. Rashmi, please share any other technical aspect if there is.
Yeah, Dev Uprati will be doing that, ma'am.
Dr. Kiran, Professor Basu, are we on the same platform as well? The marking sheet that has been given to all of us, are we sticking to the same evaluation pattern?
Yes, I think I have received the marking sheets.
So we are following same no change needed there, right?
Yeah, like I have the marking sheet with the marks divided based on three criteria.
Yeah.
And I think that should be fine. And the
We'll
time limit for presentation should be decided. Like what's the
So
time
it's
limit
8
for
minutes, sir. 8
minutes.
Yes, sir. 8 minutes.
And here, one more thing I would like to mention to our esteemed judges. It is 8 plus 2 minutes. Dr. Rashmi, did you check that? And one more thing, the questions to the presenters can be, only the judges may ask. The other participants will not be allowed, or anybody others will not be allowed to ask the questions.
And as far as the session is concerned, are we going to ask the questions after each presentation or at the end of the session?
So whatever
it's your discretion, ma'am.
Okay.
Judges
I think
discretion.
whatever the query the judges you're having for the particular presentation, I think we may you may decide it can be right away there, so that the team is free, because they are under evaluation, right?
So in case there is a query, the judges will ask right after the presentation. Time allotted is 8 plus 2. And we'll take it from there. Yeah, I guess. Right, Rashmi, I guess they're clear to all the judges now. We can proceed with the session.
Right, the student, Dev Upreti, you have something to say here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please carry on.
Good morning, everyone. Dear August gatherers, I welcome you all on the behalf of the Geography Department of Shaheed Bhagat Singh College to the technical session of National Geographers Youth Conclave 2022. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the honorable jury and all the respected faculty, as well as mentors who are present in this session. As we begin with the presentation of this session, let me lay out the rules and regulations for the presentation. Students are to present their findings using a PowerPoint presentation. The limit for the presentation is 8 minutes. Mentors are not permitted to give a presentation or reply to the interjection. All team members must be present in the event. Teams are to be judged on the basis of originality of work, methodology, contribution to the subject matter, and presentation skills. Teams must strictly adhere to the given time limit of the presentation. The first reminder will be given on the chat box at 6 minutes so that the teams can comfortably conclude their presentation in the next 2 minutes. At 8 minutes, the final reminder shall be given such that the participants must conclude their presentation at the earliest. With this, I would like to call Monalika Patnaik, Akankya Tripathi, Smruti Mallavarapu from Team 1 to present their findings on the topic Simple Biosphere Reserves, Threats and Conservation Measures. Is Team 1 present here? Kindly mention the chat box if you're present here.
I guess we have to check with the settings. Pratyush? Are they able to unmute themselves?
I think they can unmute themselves now.
Okay.
Monalika Patnaik, are you able to speak?
Monalika, she's here.
Team 1,
Yes,
are you
ma'am,
there?
we are able to.
All right, you can present. Thank you.
Ma'am, our screen sharing is disabled.
Technical team, please look into the matter.
Yeah, please try now.
Yes. Ma'am, are my slides visible?
Yes, yes.
Shall I start now?
Diksha ma'am.
Yes, please start.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, esteemed jury. I, with my team, hailing from Ravinsha University, Cuttack, Odisha, are going to present our research paper on Simlipal Biosphere Reserve, Threats and Conservation Measures. The conservation of biodiversity has been an intricate issue, which includes environmental, cultural, and social aspects. Conserving Simlipal is just an example to how we can preserve our Mother Earth and biodiversity and can prevent it from any other irreversible damage. Our research problem can be broadly classified as environmental and socio-cultural. Depletion of flora and fauna, shifting cultivation, locally known as Podu cultivation, forest fire, fragmentation of habitats, imbalance in ecosystem, pollution due to tourism can be categorized under environmental aspect. Forcibly evacuating the original inhabitants, indigenous groups losing their cultural ethos, akhand shikar, poaching, illegal logging comes under socio-cultural aspect. Our aim is to aware people about the current issues and challenges faced by the protected areas due to the depletion of natural resources, to understand the complex interactions of local communities like the Khairi, the Munda, the Santal within the Simlipal Biosphere Reserve, to give due share of attention for management and conservation of endemic flora and endangered fauna species. The study area of our research is Simlipal, India's 6th largest biosphere reserve located in Mayurbhanj district of Odisha. The name Simlipal is derived from the word simul, meaning silk cotton tree, due to the predominance of silk cotton tree in this area. Simlipal was declared as Biosphere Reserve by Government of India in June 1994 and has been a part of UNESCO World Network of Biosphere Reserves since 2009. Simlipal Tiger Reserve, along with Hadgar Wildlife Sanctuary and Kuldia Wildlife Sanctuary, are a part of Simlipal Biosphere Reserve. This research is totally based on the secondary sources of data that has been collected from various research papers, articles, journals, and government websites. As we have mentioned earlier, the threats to the biodiversity of Simlipal, categorized as environmental and socio-cultural, caused due to natural factors as well as anthropogenic activities. One of the recent example of forest fire in Simlipal was in 2021, which started on 23rd February and prolonged for around 15 days, was caused naturally. As Simlipal is covered with tropical deciduous forest, it sheds leaves in winter. In addition to it, that year recorded a very high temperature, causing the leaves to burn, resulting in a furious forest fire. Second major natural threat is flash floods caused by heavy rainfall and cyclonic storms brought by Bay of Bengal. In the year 2013, Simlipal encountered the effect of super cyclonic storm of Phylline, which is told to have caused the second largest destruction after Maoist attack of 2009. The graph in the current slide depicts the area extent of forest, burnt area across patch size categories during 2004 to 2013. 90% of the forest fire is caused due to anthropogenic activities, as natives practice shifting cultivation, burning a small patch of land for better collection of mahuli, a traditional alcohol. The poachers also burn some area to divert the wild animals, in which leads to hazardous forest fire. Akhand Shikar, a traditional festival of mass killing of animals practiced by the natives, also result in the depletion of biodiversity of Simlipal Biosphere Reserve. The graph in the current slide depicts poaching cases in past years, ranging from 1997 to 2002. Many natives as well as outsiders are engaged in illegal trading of animals for their skin and ivory. Natives predominantly depend on the forest for their livelihood, which leads to depletion of forest resource. Some of the suggestions from prevention to natural factors can be local communities should be encouraged to collect dry leaves, branches to make dry leaves plate or khalli or pattal and can earn money by selling it. Sprinklers should be installed to keep the area wet during dry seasons. Artificial raining system should also be included and used for preventing forest fire. Some of the suggestions for prevention to anthropogenic activities can be: natives always use the method of slash and burn in their agricultural field. If a common agricultural ground will be provided to them, which is far away from the forest, then it may reduce the cause of forest fire. The collection of NTFP by the natives should be restricted and collection should be done under proper surveillance of forest officials. Akhand Ropan should be promoted instead of Akhand Shikar, where plantations will be done in large numbers, which will in turn benefit the environment. Rewards should be given to people practicing Akhand Ropan. Ecotourism should be promoted. The natives should be enrolled in Manrega and the formation of SHGs should be promoted, so that their dependency on forest would be reduced to some extent. In this research, we have tried our best to understand the issue and the management challenges faced by Simlipal Biosphere Reserve. There is an urgent need to spread the wildlife awareness campaigns and orientation programs, which would act as a boon from further depletion of biodiversity of Simlipal Biosphere Reserve. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Now I would request the honorable jury for interjection.
So can I go first? Is that fine? So Smriti, yes, Smriti, thank you very much for the presentation. I would like to ask you, how does this work, what you have presented, talks to the larger theme of the conclave, which is like emotional geography?
So we have included the cultural aspects and the environmental aspects as the theme of the conclave suggests. We have talked about the environmental issues faced in the Simlibal Biosphere Reserve and the cultural aspects also of the native people. They are emotionally attached to that place.
Yeah, but you also do argue that the forest use among local communities should be limited. So I was wondering, like, where are you bringing this emotional connect between the local people and their dependence on the forest, which happens to be possibly their home and the resources that they own?
They are the natives of the of that land, but we cannot discard them from their original land as they are brought and bring at that land. So we should respect their emotions, but we should also think about our environmental issues and take into consideration about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If I have only one question to ask, which is, when you describe a cultural practice of the people who you said to be the natives of the area, and a practice something called akhand shikar, are you not looking at an irony here, where the biosphere reserve is actually the land that they reside on, not just reside on, but their entire life may be depending on it. On the other hand, there is a cultural practice of akhand shikar. Were you able to connect these two antagonistic understanding, if I may say, of a cultural practice, and that too of people who are traditionally living in the area? Were you able to study anything on that?
Yes, ma'am. Then Kanshikar is a ritual that they are following from generation to generation. So just and as a matter of concern, it is not only they must not think it as a tradition they follow, but they must be aware of aware of what it can lead to, the environmental disaster also. So the field where we lagging behind is not able to change their setup. That ritual doesn't mean that it can degrade our environment also. We must respect their emotion, but we must also change and influence their thinking so that they can be a part of partial of our environment, and they also, as a native, they can improve our environmental status.
Okay, thank you. If we have any other question, Professor Bose?
No, I don't have any question. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much to the team for making an excellent presentation. Can we ask the next team to? Okay. Rashmi?
Okay, before we move further, just a little announcement for the participants. Team members are requested not to reveal their college affiliation first and mentor's name on their first slide of their presentation. Please, participants, please adhere to this rule or you may be losing your marks. So that's the request. And over to you, Dev.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on, the next team is Team 2, and the members are Rosina Akhtar, Khushi Kaushik, Harsh, and Praveen. And the topic is emotional turmoil of war among soldiers and their families. Is Team 2 present here?
Yeah, we are here.
You can present your screens. Thank you.
So hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing really fine. Yeah. So good morning everyone. My name is Harsh and I'm here to present this research presentation on behalf of my entire team. So the topic we choose is emotional turmoil of war among soldiers and their family members. And our study has tried to map a range of emotions experienced by persons actively engaged in battle in war zones, as well as by persons who have their family members in such spaces. And as we know it, emotional geography specifically focuses on how human emotions relate to environment around them. So now let's begin. So the concept of the study revolves around war and its emotional impacts on soldiers and their family members during and after the wartime. While engaged in battle, soldiers now comes the research problem. While engaged in battle, soldiers are exposed to enemy fire, first-hand experiences of horrors of the war. Similarly, their family suffers from behind. Taking care of family members without in the absence of the head of the family in most of the cases, and a constant fear of not seeing their loved ones again because there is this uncertainty of life in the uh, war zones as we know it. But how often do we think about the mental health of these people or emotional well-being of these people? I don't think so much people do it because we think it's a part of their profession. But it is traumatic to those people to an extent, and also it has long-lasting consequences in a specific group. Now moving towards the aims and objectives of this research. So we tried to, we wanted to know what emotional changes does people during this time go through, and their family members, of course soldiers and their family members, reviewing existing treatment and support structures dealing with such emotional and psychological conditions, and try to come up with better handling of such events. What can we do at personal and at government levels? Now, moving on to the study area, as the study couldn't be area specific because people in armed forces come from different parts of the nation and they get transferred frequently. So the respondents may be residing in different parts of the country when the survey was done. So the respondents are soldiers and their family members, soldiers who had actively participated in the war of 1999, the Kargil War. Now moving on to the methodology. This methodology includes survey of existing literature, uh, a questionnaire-based survey of soldiers and their family members, and a detailed interaction with selected respondents via telephonic survey. And we try to keep it as qualitative as possible because emotions is something which matters here. So the respondents belong to Indian Army, Indian Air Force, and BSF, a few armed forces which were actively involved in the Battle of 1999. We have also used secondary sources of data to support our study. So now coming to the part where observations and findings. Yeah. So first question we asked the soldiers was, what were your first emotion reaction, or what were your first emotions when you came to know that there's going to be a war with with our neighbor, Pakistan, and you will be actively participating in that combat? So most of the soldiers mentioned that they were feeling patriotic at that time, and that majority made it like up to 90 or 80% of the people agreed, or the soldiers agreed that they were feeling patriotic. But when we asked them that did they feel apprehensive or lost after the war was ended, 18% replied it with a yes, that they felt apprehensive or lost after the war was over. Whereas 54% soldiers felt that they felt the same, but occasionally. Matlab, there was some emotional distress, in those people. Whereas family members suffers from emotional distress equally, as when we asked them what emotions they felt when the conflict was on, and when they came to know that their husbands will be going, their family members will be going to participate in that war. So 55 0.6% spouses showed a worry, a worrying feeling, a worrying emotion in them, and which was followed by fear and anxiety. And 33% of the family members regularly felt anxious after the war, and 45% of the soldiers felt that there is a change in their body weight and appetite during the war and after the war was ended for a short while after that. 45% of soldiers accepted that to an extent war had changed them emotionally, and 33% spouses felt the same about their partners. Around 90% family members were quieter, angrier, fearful, and more religious. During the war, 18% soldiers admitted that they suffered from mental trauma, and one amongst them referred to a psychologist for his mental well being. 82% of the soldiers admitted that memories of war still scares and worries them till date. And 78% family members agreed and mentioned that effects of war last longer than they might seem. Now, taking some secondary data sources or mentioning this secondary survey, which we have done via literature and researches done by other organization previously. So I would like to mention WHO here because WHO, and also our findings are quite similar to the study they had done previously. So WHO mentions that 10% people who were engaged in that conflict suffers from serious mental illnesses, and 10% have behavioral changes like depression, anxiety, insomnia, and regular headaches and stomach aches. Whereas 22 people living in a conflict zones do face mental conditions and emotional conditions like depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and schizophrenia. So now, moving on to the conclusions part, think about these national heroes once, like how much emotional instability they face being a part of their profession, feeling detached, seeing their comrades injured, or even getting killed in a few unfortunate events. It's horrifying for every human being. They might be they are soldiers, they are more trained than general public, but at the end of the day, they are still humans. So troops were patriotic, but deep down they were quite worried about their family members as well. So as you can see on the right hand side of the slide, there are a few comments mentioned by the people themselves. What were their personal feelings at that time? And on the other hand, family members, especially wives, suffer from this. Are negatively affected because when their spouses are on board, they will be in their houses taking care of the family members, and handling their responsibility of their spouses as well in a patriarchal society like ours. So that's like quite a hard stuff to do. And also they are not mentally prepared, mentally trained like their spouses are for this situation, so they are negatively affected. Also, we deeply agree that not every soldier or family member of soldier suffers from such problems, but even if a small group is affected, they must be taken care of. And now some suggestions I would like to give. So basically, spending time with family and friends after the war has ended, it helps in rapid recovery of the people who were affected psychology, even if a little bit. And also pointing out the people who are showing some symptoms of PTSD or other psychological disorder, maybe we can screen them out and refer them to psychologists so they can get back to their normal routine as it was without any mental disruptions. Also, healthy lifestyle is really important to which should be maintained. And other than that, this mental conditions or mental traumas like this are stigmatized in the society, so we really need to educate people about it, so it can make a better society for those people who are suffering from such problems and issues. So here I'm done. Now I'm up for any questions, or we are up for any questions.
Thank you, Team 2. Now I would request the jury for the interjection.
My first question to the team would be: was it a structured questionnaire that you ran for conducting this survey, or was it an unstructured methodology that you made use of?
Yeah, so basically it was a, we try to keep it as structured as possible because we wanted to find the emotional aspects. We weren't focusing that much on the psychological side, but we wanted to know that how their emotional side would be. So yeah, we try to keep it as structured as possible.
Okay. And the second question would be that the, the the soldiers, the current soldiers who were part of the war, and their various family members were part of this study, or just the spouses? I mean, who all
So
were?
basically,
So when you studied the impact on the family members, were children and the other family members equally party the to the questionnaire
okay.
answer?
Yeah. So basically, they were majority of spouses. We also, try to because it was really hard for us to reach out to their parents because that's a totally different generations, and we couldn't go out, and look for our neighbors. Matlab, we can't go out and just survey the people who are actually old and our parents side of this event. So there were mostly spouses, and also a few we tried to get the children's information. Children were like majority of the spouses had like really small children, like under the age of 6 and 5. So it was really hard to get right information regarding this. So yeah, we majorly get the information from the spouses, the wives of the soldiers.
Thank you.
Hello, Praveen. I have two questions for you. One is, what are the key geographical concepts that you have used in the study? Like, I've been wondering, how is this work geographical? So could you just throw some light on it for the first question?
Yeah, definitely.
Continue.
Yeah, so because emotions were experienced because some persons were in specific place, a zone of conflict. And as I mentioned before, that what emotional geography is. So emotional geography is basically it specifically focuses on how human interactions relate to the environment around them. So basically we wanted to know that what these trained professionals who are meant to be there in the war zones, how would they react to such inhuman situations, because as humans we are not used to this violence and stressed environment like this. So we wanted to find out what the emotional status would be at that time, in those times.
Okay, and my second question is, in your methodology, you say that you have used qualitative methods. How have you analyzed qualitative methods, and how have you presented it here? Because all I see is graphs. So could you just throw some light on the analysis and presentation of qualitative data?
Yeah. So basically, it was telephonic survey. We have done it with two soldiers specifically because that's what we could have done. So basically, we try to where telephonic survey, we actually try to find there's a lot of difference when you take someone's suggestions, someone's experience on a optioned question, maybe on the platforms like Google Documents. Whereas we called them and we just had this long chat with them. How did they feel? And we just wanted to find out the authenticity. How much the authenticity of the stuff. So we actually try to look at the emotional and the wait, I'm just like, it's hard to put in words. So just give me a second if you can. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and talking about that, we weren't able to perfectly present it here because we had this time limitations. We could have we could have told their real life situations here, but we didn't have this much of time to just put all that stuff into these 8 minutes. So that's why we just kept it to us, and also we have given it the suggestions, the real life experiences the soldiers and their family members have mentioned, which actually show a real side of the story to us. What they were facing, as individuals, whose spouses were, who themselves were there in the war zones, and whose spouses were there in the war zones? How were they feeling at that time?
Possibly those narratives should have gone in your analysis part rather than in the suggestions part. Yeah, as a suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a small question.
Yes, sir, sure.
Have you visited personally to the houses of soldiers, or it is a online survey?
Okay, so I would say that two of our team members are from they are defense brats. So actually, like it's me and Rosina. So basically, our parents were a little related to this instance, and also the people we surveyed are like the friends and known ones of our parents. So we tried to we had known them from past, or we had been involved with them for a while, and that's how we but mostly the telephonic survey was done via telephones, and we did not pay them physical visits because of the situations out there. I hope you understand.
Yes, yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would request all the teams to adhere to the time given, that is 8 minutes for the presentation and 2 minutes for the interjection. Please keep that in mind. And moving on, we have team 3, and the members of team 3 are Priya Parihar, Amish Kumar, Anshuman, and Ravi. And the topic is emotions on social media and social media for emotions. Is team 3 here?
Yes.
Kindly present your presentation. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Ravi, please start.
हेलो।
हाँ, हेलो, कौन?
नमस्ते दादी, हम गोलू।
अरे गोलू बेटा, कैसे हो बेटा?
हाँ दादी ठीक है, आप कैसे हैं?
बेटा बस ठीक ही हैं, लेकिन तुमको देखने का बहुत मन करता है।
ठीक है दादी, 1 मिनट। हाँ दादी, स्क्रीन पे कुछ गया?
हाँ बेटा, आया आया, ये क्या हुआ?
दादी हरा बटन को दबाइए।
अच्छा, अरे बेटा गोलू, तुम तो दिख रहे हो बेटा इसमें।
हाँ दादी, आप भी दिख रहे हैं।
अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा लगा बेटा तुमको इतने दिनों बाद देखकर।
दादी आशीर्वाद।
खुश रहो बेटा, खुश रहो।
Like this one, social media connecting people across the world, maintaining their emotional bonding. And thank you, social media, for providing us space for this event.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Priya Parihar with my team members Amish Kumar, Anshuman Raj, and Ravi Roshan, going to tell you about the perspective of people regarding the significance and role of social media in emotional building. And the topic for this study is emotions on social media and social media for emotions. But what emotions are actually?
Emotions can be defined as the human reactions to what's happening in his or her surrounding. Emotions give meaning to our existence, and the events that we experience, like happiness, anger, fear, sadness, etc. Emotions are the reflection of one's behavior. For having strong connections, one must be happy and a little bit of tolerant by nature.
But how social media is connected to our emotions?
Linking to a common platform, hence the true power of social media is the notion of we are all connected. Here is the advertisement showing the importance of social media, especially WhatsApp, in the lives of people. Emotions are basically the outrage and hope that fuels social media, whereas social media acts as a canvas on which we can portray all our emotions without any hesitation.
The aim of this research paper is to find out the nature of emotional expression and connections established between the people using social networking sites like WhatsApp and Facebook, and to what extent these social media platforms are justifiable in expressing emotions on it. Based on the aim, following are the objectives, which focuses on establishing bonds and connections between the people by expressing emotions on social media. Let's look at the database. In this research paper, we have used two types of data sources, that is primary and secondary, in which our major inclination was towards primary source, that is interviewing, observation, and questionnaire. Now, let's see methodology. Initially, literature review has been done, followed by preparing questionnaire and using the same. Data is collected and tabulated using Excel. Finally, the data is interpreted with the help of graphs and diagrams. Now, why we have chosen WhatsApp and Facebook for survey? Out of 7.8 billion people, 4.55 billion people uses social media, and every year approximately 400 million users adds into using it. The most used social media platforms in India are Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp.
Therefore, we have selected WhatsApp and Facebook and tried to find out the nature of emotions and connection. For this, we have conducted a small questionnaire and phone call interview. So, you can see the profiling of the respondent on the screen. Total responded are 132 and a major percentage are of age group 18 to 25. It has pan-India coverage and responded are spread all over rural as well as urban area. Now, when we ask, are you familiar with WhatsApp and Facebook? Then 99.2% say they use WhatsApp and 87% say they use Facebook. Users are spending more time on WhatsApp as approx 56% spend less than 1 hour and 45% spend more than 2 hours. While in case of Facebook, approx 90% use less than 1 hour and only 10% spend more than 2 hours.
But why do we use WhatsApp and Facebook?
As per data, large percentage of WhatsApp users are more focused on connecting with family and friends and education purpose, with 73.5% and 63.6% respectively. And in case of Facebook, it is approx 39% and 19% respectively. They also use it for enjoyment, profession, and other purposes.
I can see my dad on video call anytime, anywhere, and can share all of my emotions.
In the same way, every one of us want to see and listen our close one. And 69% agree that audio and video call help in building emotion, and 4% disagree with it, while 27% gave neutral answer. You might be familiar with the emojis used in day-to-day conversation on WhatsApp and Facebook. Let's listen few words of one of our respondents about emojis.
तो इमोजीज का यूज कहाँ तक रेलेवेंट है इमोशंस को एक्सप्रेस करने में?
बहुत ज्यादा रिलेवेंट है, क्योंकि बिना इमोजीज के चैट ना ऐसी लगती है जैसे कि बहुत बोरिंग।
During the survey, about 77.3% of respondents agreed that emoji help in expressing real emotion. Let's have a small clip of emojis showing different emotions.
Now let's have a look on which type of emotions are expressed through stories and status. Of the total respondents, 66.7% post these stories and status as just for fun, and 25.8% post it for happiness purpose. People show different emotions through stories and status like joy, happiness, sadness, as you can see in the screenshot provided here. When question was asked how WhatsApp facilitates in building emotional attachment, these are the few direct responses, and I am reading one of them on their behalf. As I am an introvert and I hesitate in calling my friends, so chatting by WhatsApp is the best option to strengthen emotional bonding.
Now, here is a compilation of some of the status and stories of the users which were kept under observation, and these show how the users express their emotions through stories and status.
Recently, there is the word FOMO, means fear of missing out, which is showing the state of addiction while using social media sites.
For having a deep and clear understanding of the emotions of the users, we also conducted phone call interviews. Some of them are here. Many times it hurt my emotions, and that time I think better not to have social media. One reason for this is that on my birthday, everyone used to visit my home and celebrate together, but now they just used to wish me through WhatsApp only.
Team 3, please conclude your presentation as soon as possible since the time is up. Thank you.
In this era of mechanization, social media is playing a very significant role by providing a virtual platform for connecting people. With the excess use of social media, cybercrime is increasing. Social media is a need, but it should not surpass the emotions of the people. Engage, enlighten, encourage, and especially just be yourself. With this note, we just want to end up our presentation here. We appreciate your patience and time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Team 3. Now I would request the jury for the interjection.
Let me first say that an innovative style of presentation. But my question to you would be, when you asked questions around centered around things like addiction or emotions like they are feeling the feeling of left out or missing out. How well can the respondents themselves answer about the fact that they are addicted to the social media around which their own lives are revolving? So the question is very simple, actually. Is a person really in a position to put or to flag the emotion of addiction, overuse, use, suitable use? What has been your understanding, if you have been able to develop one?
Ma'am, basically, when we asked the question that you have asked to the respondents, most of them said that they are not addicted, but some of them said that they are addicted. They agreed with the fact. And that we have mentioned FOMO, the fear of missing out. People used to check their phones, their social media sites after 1 or within 2 to 3 times in 1 or 2 hours. This also mentions the addiction as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, team. I have one question for you. How do you bring the connection between social media, emotions, and geographic space here in your study?
So basically, the theme of our conclave is the emotional geography, and as the word exactly mentioned, the emotions, and emotions are inseparable part of human being. And recently, human being is using the social networking sites on a broader aspect to express the emotions. So we can say that social media, humans, and geography are the integral part of each other.
No, we can say that, but I didn't find it in your presentation. That's why I'm asking this question.
So actually, we have tried it to link with emotional aspects of geography. That's why.
Yeah, but because it says emotional geography, right? It just doesn't say just emotions. So I would like you to think more about it as to how does social media and geographic space interact with each other. Possibly it is that there are certain leads in your presentation, but you have not articulated it well. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, please.
My question is, what do you think about those persons who are not using social media? What about their emotion? Like rural poor people who don't have any Android phone or don't know about social media.
So basically, there was a time when there was no social platforms, no social media. That time, people also express their emotions as well. But necessary when we use something, it just felt like that we can't live without it. But the people who are living without social media, they are very much real in expressing their emotions, as they usually express their emotions when they meet people physically, not as virtually as we all are doing. But they it also strengthen their emotions. Being meeting physically and meeting virtually, they are just different things.
That means in that case, social media is not acting, na?
Yes, no, sir, it's not that, because it's social media has become so much popular. Everybody's using it, but those who are not using it are just felt like left behind the society. It's just a feeling, but their emotions are real.
But
Sir,
since they are not using social media, or they are not capable of doing that, like they are very much poor, they don't have any much more money to purchase Android phone or laptop, they cannot express their emotion through social media, isn't it?
sir, we are seeing that social media has been a space which is providing to express, which is a space which has been developed to express emotions, and we are seeing nowadays like WhatsApp. So we can't say that, and we are also telling that real emotions can't be neglected, and they can't overlap with the social media emotions. We are
Right.
saying both the aspects, that social media is good for emotions, but it is also that they sometimes the emotions are not so real, so they
actually
cannot replace the
actually
real emotions.
actually social media is fit for a particular group of people, na? I think so. Particularly group of people, social media is very much good expressing tool, huh? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would repeat myself. Please, all the teams, kindly adhere to the time given to you. That is 8 minutes for your presentation and 2 minutes for the interjection. With that, we will move forward, and I welcome Team 4. And the members of Team 4 are Gaurav Singh, Naitik Nigam, Divyansh Pratap Singh, and Harsh Sharma. And their topic is traffic congestion, a study of traffic jam in Lucknow, Padsha Nagar. Is Team 4 present here?
Yes, sir. Good
Please
morning.
kindly present on the screen.
Good afternoon to the respected jury members, respected teachers, and my dear friends. Uh, Thank you for providing me such a great opportunity. I, Divyansh Pratap Singh, and my team member Gaurav, Naitik, and Harsh are here to present about the topic traffic congestion, study of traffic jam in Basanagar and major areas. I present my PPT. Yeah. There are some issues in PPT. Yes, sir. some issues. Yeah, now start. Uh, I start my topic. The word congestion is originated from Latin word that is congestion. That means to tying together or pile up. In our present work, the word congestion is closely interrelated to the traffic jam, which is an emerging problem not only in Lucknow but in the whole world. The common trends of the traffic snarl-up is traffic jam, crowd, increasing population, pollution level, and that cause frustration, depression, stress, and road accidents. And this affect the economy as well as environment, and affect the quality of the human's life. Now we talk about the statement. We talk about the problems. Then unscientific designs of the roads, shrinking roads, lack of demarcated footpaths, self-centered attitude of the citizens, lack of ways exits where local and main road intersect, lack of parking, private rampant encroachment, illegal parking, and many more such problems are there. Now जिंदगी में समस्याएं ट्रैफिक की लाल बत्ती जैसी होती है, यदि आप थोड़ा सब्र कर लें तो हरी हो जाती हैं. With this quote, I start to explain my our aim and objective of the work to identify during what the time of the day traffic congestion is most, which zone has the highest traffic, or to identify what are the causes behind this. And next objective is to suggest and suggest measures for the improvement of these situation. And our focus will be to conserve environment, increase economy of the citizen, ensure safety of the human physically as well as emotionally. Now come on the topic of study area where we research. So we basically focus on the Basanagar area and its surrounding areas like Hazratganj, Munsi Pulia, Polytechnic, and Sikandarbag. Methodology. We primarily source which we use are oral testimony of the individual local residuals, interact with traffic police, some regarding authorities, and a civil engineer. We took photography and self field observations. In secondary source, we use article, newspaper, and magazine readings, Google website, Wikipedia, Google Map, etc., local government records, government reports, etc. This research project explains the psychological and emotional effect on society due to excessive traffic jam problem. And our research involved survey method, and we observed that the cases of traffic jam has been increased by 5 to 6% within last 2 years, due to which accidents are increasing day by day. Now we talk about the timelines of the work. Then we collected the data from the October month, and around 90 days this work happened within, and in that 16 hour we work on the ground. All the selected zones have been fully examined and data collected, and we further working over the project to observe micro causes that becomes macro cause of the traffic congestion. We also working to make a mobile app that contain all emergency helpline numbers, all regarding government agencies, social medias, handles, and some related NGOs, nearby hospitals, and all the traffic rules and regulations. Now come on the topic of observation and findings. The major finding of the study is presented as follows. In table first, you can see that the study revealed that the traffic congestion is most in morning time at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. in the evening. In table 2, we can see that it is observed that there are decadal increase in the population that increase the urban agglomeration that cause accidents. And at present time in 2021, the traffic accident rate increased from 13 to 31%. So this is a big case. You should notice that after government this much planning, traffic rules, policies, and constructing new road networks, still there are a big backlog in the traffic system. In chart 3, the study revealed that the zone 2 polytechnic area has the highest traffic 87.50%, because there are bus and taxis improper stoppage, and in zone 1 Basanagar with 80% traffic,
Team 4,
80%.
please conclude your presentation as soon as possible since the time is up. Thank you.
In chart 4, you can see that the development is not only the solution to minimize the traffic jam, because after a certain time the development also cause the adverse effect. And if we talk about other causes, then poor signal, traffic incidents, bad weathers, and other things. And these are some satellite images we took at the 11 p.m. at night time. You can see that at night time this much traffic jams are there. And these are some pictures which we took at the time of collecting data. And common suggestion, then modern sophisticated initiatives are the better than typical big ideas, such as VMS and optimized traffic lights management, use inbound flow control, use CCTV with sensor and speed cameras for automatic challan, and make the driving license test exam more tough by RTO department, increase more electric vehicles, improve bus services. And this chart, this pyramidal chart, you can see that it also helps to reduce the traffic jam. Now, and that brings me to the end of my presentation. Let me give you a conclusion of what we have been talking about over the last few minutes. Basing on the finding of the study, we can conclude that in order to solve traffic congestion in Lucknow, the first and foremost things to do is strictly follow traffic rules, prohibited illegal parking, stops and pathways and roads to be removed. And road contractor must also focus on quality of the material while constructing the networks. If we cannot combat the traffic related issues, our environment and human both would get a bad effect, chance to increase pollution, and there could be a chance of more and more human casualties on road. More such research and innovation are needed to maintain proper traffic system in order to conserve resources and increase the national economy. At the end, we should like to conclude that traffic congestion problem can be solved by proper awareness and proper support of the government and the public together. And in the last, from the side of our team, I would like to say that the road to success is always under construction. There are a lot of potholes, but no traffic jam. Thank you.
Thank you, Team 4. Now I would request the jury for interjection.
My only question to you, Divyansh, is which aspect of geography of emotions have you tried to touch upon with this study, and which technique, qualitative technique, have you made use of? Thank you.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Which
Please
qualitative technique have you made use of? And the first question was, which aspect of geography of emotions have you tried to touch upon with this study?
Ma'am, in this project, we use survey method and try to collect the collect the data from the citizens, that what are the basic causes due to which uh, they break the rules, and also collect the data from the traffic police, that what are the major traffic rules that the public disobeys. And qualitative techniques means containing means the peoples after this traffic congestion get depression, stress, and many more such emotional this was one.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
I have no questions.
Myself also. I
Okay.
don't have any question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the team. We
Thank you.
can move.
Thank you, Team 4. I would just like to mention, if any team is facing any technical issues, they can send their PowerPoint presentation to our technical team. They can present it for you. And with this, I would like to call Team 5. And the members of Team 5 are Abhiman Singh, Jyoti Pal, Saurabh Singh, and Aman Khan. And their topic is Fishing and Skin Diseases, a case study of Malahi Tola. Is Team 5 present here?
Yes, we are present here. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, shall I start with my presentation?
Yeah.
I hope my screen is visible. So now starting with my presentation. A very warm and cheerful good morning to honorable jury members, respected teachers, and one and all present here. Today, I, Jyoti Pal, on behalf of my team, is here to represent about the case study of Malahi Tola in Lucknow regarding fishing and skin diseases. But yes, before I would like to give my views on emotional geography, which is a subtopic within human geography. This branch, emotional geography, it specifically focuses on how human emotions relate to and affect the environment and culture around them. And we can say that both people's emotion and place impact each other equally. For example, we can take that one may feel relaxed in a theme park or on a beach and may get short-tempered and anxious in a traffic congestion. Well, now coming to the topic, our case study. So this is the case study of Malahi Tola, which is situated on the bank of River Gomti. And the basic concept behind our research is to highlight the social, economic, and the emotional problem of this fisherman community of Malahi Tola. I would like to tell you the word meaning of this Mallah. These are the people, this is a name given to the people whose basic work or profession is boating and catching fishes, and their economy depends on it. Now coming to the research problems, which we found during our research, were like there is a lot of pollution in the river. There is a reduced water flow, unhygienic condition can be seen at the place, and still people are using primitive techniques for fishing, and the disease faced by them about which they are unaware. In our slide, we have also shared some pictures which are clicked by us during our research only. Next, coming to the main objective for choosing this topic was to highlight the issue of market faced by them, as they are not the licensed marketers, and the harmful effects of the industrial effluents. And also we wanted to make people aware about the skin diseases and to understand the effect of environment and culture on their occupation. These were the objectives. Now coming to the let me introduce you to the study area of our research, which was the Cis Lucknow, that is the left side of River Gomti, where the community Malahi Tola is situated. And we started from the region of Ghala Bridge and we ended towards Kudia Ghat region. Moving from Ghala Bridge, next is our Balaganj, where we have Naveen Mandi Market. There fishes are being sold and purchased, and they are being sold to the other people. And then comes next is our pumping station at Gau Ghat, where water is treated and it is supplied in the city.
And last is the Kuria Ghat, where we found that there is a high rate of pollution in water. Now, I would also like to include that this place is connected with main cities by Hardoi Road and Sultanpur Road, and is approx 8 kilometers from primary CBD and 3 kilometers from the Chowk, that is the commercial hub of city. Now, for our this research work, the method which we adopted was ground surveying, in which we personally interacted with the people of community and gathered the information. And we have found that people living there are unaware about the rashes on their skin. The natural marine ecosystem is compressing due to several projects as places in between the urban city. Many governmental projects are coming there. The washermen and the cattle are polluting the place a lot, and the course of river with time has narrowed. And there is a cremation center also, due to which what happened is people drain the ashes in the river, which is very much hazardous for the ecosystem and the water life. And there is a low fish count in summer season seen, as the water is very much dried up. Next, in the lockdown also, they told us that during lockdown of due to COVID, there was a great slowdown in their business. Our team members, Abhiman and Saurabh, they have also interacted with the one of the Mallah, that was Deepu Kashyap, who was indulged in this business in 30 years, and he helped us a lot in giving the information regarding their occupation. Now, based on this, what we observed was that we found that it is a tourist place. So this is the main reason for dirt and pollution in this region. And although there are several signboards being placed over here, but these are being completely ignored by the people. Now, coming to the, according to our study, we have made few graphs to represent our data. So there is a pie chart which represents the divergence of caste in their community, which affects their emotional quotient. And on the right side, there is a graph which is showing the spread of disease in their community. So now coming up and winding up, we come to few suggestions which we can help the community at local level, and can also help to increase their satisfaction at emotional level as well as at economic level, because obviously a man is said to be a social and economic animal. So we suggest that there should be some, they should get some monthly allowance under Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, and there should be recognition of this depleting agro-business sector. We can set some common health center near their community so that they can easily get a medical facility, and we can provide them with tools and equipments, and also educating them about their uses. And we should try to connect their occupation, as it is a primary activity they are doing, with the modern techniques. And at last, we all can try to maintain the naturality of environment by keeping it away from a larger scale. With the ending lines of my presentation, I would thank you all for giving time on my work. And I also thank my team members, Aman Khan, Saurabh and Abhiman, for their continuous support. And especially thanking to the Malahi Tola people who have supported me in gathering information regarding it. So thank you.
Thank you, Team 5. Now I would request the jury members to kindly go for the interjection.
Can I go first?
Yes,
Yeah.
Dr.
So I would thank you for the presentation. I would like to know what are the findings of your study?
Yes, during our case study, we have found that the community which we have chosen, although these people are less in number, but we have seen that they have a high emotional quotient, obviously, because they are part of society, and the government is also not very much paying attention on their work, and these guys are culturally attached to their profession, because fishing they have adopted from their forefathers only, and they are still indulged in it. So this is what we found, that we are not paying much attention on these primary activities of these people who are living with us in our urban cities.
Okay, and how is this attachment to their profession expressed to the attachment with place?
Actually,
Did you
they
find
are
anything
doing
on
the
that?
yes, of course. Actually, there's the place where they are doing their occupation, that is completely a geographical place, because they are related. They are doing the work on the bank of a river, and they're most of the time they're giving it on that geographical location. So I thought that yes, they are obviously attached to the natural environment of society. That's why.
Okay, thank you.
Jyoti, only one question. When you interviewed the members of the community, were you able to ascertain the level of satisfaction, dissatisfaction, or what is it that they feel about the profession that they are practicing? And as you have mentioned rightly, they've been doing this for years and years together, maybe across generations as well. What is it that they feel for the profession, which is a primary activity located in a highly urbanized scenario?
Yes, ma'am. The level of their satisfaction presently, it is being decreasing with time, because we are seeing that they are unable to inculcate the modern techniques in their profession, due to which they have started feeling like their coming generation, I think they have started feeling that we should switch to some other occupation. But still the past, the people already who are indulged from 30 to 40 years, they are still continuing with their occupation, and their satisfaction level is quite high, with a mindset that maybe in future they get some support from government. And next I would like to add is that they are due to COVID, they told us about some scenario that due to lockdown, what happened was the every place was shut down, so their ecosystem, the natural environment has grown up a lot. The river course have been a bit become greater, due to which their primary source of occupation, that is fisher count, has increased, which has added to their economy. But yes, as it was told that we should not consume too much of these type of food, so yes, it also has affected their economy in that way. So we can see both positive and negative impact, and there is a level of satisfaction also as they are continuing their business. But in coming generation, I think we should add some ways to help them out, and we should try to give them some knowledge regarding their profession to connect it with modernization, so that they can grow up and do not try to switch up with their occupation.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
No, I don't have any question.
Okay, thank you.
I was
Thank you
just
for making.
interested in your title. You mentioned skin diseases, but throughout the study, the study doesn't focus on skin diseases. Is that skin diseases there? Yes.
Yes. Actually, skin diseases, when we talk about any type of disease or any medical problem, that is actually related to the emotional quotient of the people, because after all the economic activity or whatever one does, it's all about the how the person is feeling. And in their occupation, they have to stand in water for 7 to 8 hours, and majorly they are interacting with the environment only, so they are facing few skin diseases, like there are rashes, there are blisters, and for this they are not getting any well equipped ointment or something. What they do is they get the grease on their hand, they get oiling on their hand, and they continue with their work. So that is what we are seeing, that people are so much indulged that they are not very much paying attention to it. But yes, of course, when it is something related to our body, then it becomes part of our emotion. That is why we inculcated this title, like skin diseases.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, the next team is Team 6, and the members of Team 6 are Komal, Navroop Kaur, Jyoti, and Tushita Prasad. And the topic is mapping the emotional topography of migrant workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. Is Team 6 present here?
Yes.
You can kindly present your presentation. Thank you.
Mapping the emotional topography of migrant workers during COVID-19. One of the quote by Sigmund Freud as, "Unexpected emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways." This can be linked to synchronize the plight of unconscious memories of migrant workers during the exodus that highlight their emotions and mental stress that are buried within them. The COVID-19 has tracked the mental stability of individuals on a global scale. The intensity and effect of unsteady lockdown has led to a direct impact on most vulnerable occupational community, the migrant workers. The migrant workers have faced increased incidences of serious psychotic anxiety and post-traumatic disorders due to socio-economic disorder factors. In order to understand emotional spatial variations of migrant workers from place where they work and from place where they reside, we will look at how emotion differ geographically in a very relationship toward the COVID pandemic. The concept of seeking mental health is non-existent among them, and thus there is a need for therapy and regular session to cope with mental stress through normal and effective measures. Statement of problem. The migrant workers were stranded during the peak COVID times, and their source of income was disturbed, which led to an immense pressure on their mental health, resulting in psychological ill effect on their cognitive responses. They had no resources to maneuver such psychological distress and were more severely affected than any other community. Aims and objectives. The aim and objective of this study is to understand emotional instability and suggesting the redressal mechanism for migrant workers. Study area. The research area includes migrant workers from North, Southeast, and West District of Delhi in order to understand emotional behavior of topography of most vulnerable occupation community. The migrant workers methodology. The response of migrant workers has been collected through a ground survey, while online platforms has been used to collect responses from general public about their perception on mental distress of migrant workers.
The interpretation and findings of this research work is divided broadly into two parts, which includes responses collected from migrant workers and from general public opinion survey. These two charts indicates the nature of work and the changes in the occupation of migrant workers before and after the pandemic breakout. Due to imposition of lockdown and confusing state of environment, around 60% of workers moved back to their hometown, as narrated by one of our respondents through the survey, that they had to travel by foot and others had to pay double of the fare to reach their homes.
पैदल भी गए थे, ट्रेन से भी गए थे, ट्रक से भी गए थे, जहां हमें 500 रुपए किराया लगना वहां 5-5 रुपए दे गए हम पैदल.
As per the data collected from the study area, which includes North, South, East, and West District of Delhi, this map represents the migratory pattern of migrant workers. If we can observe, the majority of migrant workers in Delhi received from Uttar Pradesh, then from Bihar, and some from Madhya Pradesh. In West District of Delhi, around 17% of workers were also surveyed from the parts of Chhattisgarh. Eastern region of Delhi receives majority of workers from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Therefore, the workers from far off states such as Chhattisgarh, they migrate to western southern region of Delhi for their work. This pandemic created a lot of physical and psychological problems for the workers due to job losses and some insecurities. Majority of respondents suffered from fear of starvation and fear of getting into debt. About the physical problems, as stated by the surveyors, that fatigueness and muscular pain were the main problems they faced as they had to travel long distances to their hometowns by walking. This map indicates the emotional topography of migrant workers in COVID-19. As we can see, migrant workers suffered from fear and stress majorly due to their livelihood and family health concerns, which indicates the psychological stress they had to go through this pandemic phase. According to the survey, around 52% of workers surveyed tried to reduce their stress by spending time with the home and with their families. And others also mentioned some use of social media and kitchen farming as the ways to divert their attention from their problems. About the help received from the government, majority of people denied any help or any sort of help from government and mentioned two reasons as lack of proper communication and awareness. But 20% of workers stated they received help through free rations and Manrega schemes which helped them provide work at their hometowns. As stated by one of the members during the introduction of this conclave, the new normal, the pandemic has caused. Therefore, the work is slowly resuming to its original form, and workers are experiencing changing in their workplaces. As per the observation of our survey, mask wearing and social distancing were mentioned as the major changes in the lives of migrant workers.
Interpretation of responses from general public opinion. 59% of the respondents, that is 47 households, have migrant workers working in their house or locality, while 41% of the respondents, that is 33 households, do not. Help is needed in almost every house. That's why migrant workers choose to work as a helper as it's in demand. Migrant workers work as helpers in 38 households. COVID is a new disease that majority of people do not have any prior knowledge of, and the fear of its spread has led to people discontinuing their services. 52% of the respondents discontinue taking their service, so as to reduce the spread among themselves as well as the workers. The social exclusion and discrimination among migrant workers often gets hidden in the plain sight. Their residence is secluded, so most people did not see any migrant worker facing it. 59% of the respondents did not see any migrant worker facing the same. The anxiety and depression caused by COVID is not occupation specific. Even well-earning individuals face it too. So the same can be inferred from migrant workers. 93% of the respondents felt that the migrant workers too suffer from anxiety and depression. Migrant workers try to survive from their livelihoods earning. So does everybody else. Unemployment due to loss of livelihood triggers stress and fear. So 38 respondents felt this. 14 respondents felt the stress and fear is caused by multiple factors, that is loss of livelihood, social exclusion, discrimination, and health concern. The opposing opinion of public whether the government helped migrant workers during the pandemic is very close to each other. 56% of the respondents, that is 45 people, felt government helped migrant workers by providing them free vaccines, which they might not be able to afford it. Whereas 44% of the respondents, that is 35 people, felt government didn't help them. Government didn't provide quick remedies to them, and the situation got worsened and ultimately affected them.
Now, as we know, due to lockdown and high spread of COVID-19, migrant workers face an immediate concern about mental stress, anxiety, and fear. For this,
Team
government
6, please conclude your presentation as soon as possible since the time is up. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Social protection. So as an immediate response, governments take measures by ensuring reliable livelihood incentive in the case of unemployment, providing stronger financial remedies and strengthening Manrega. Not it just the responsibility of government, but also it is the responsibility of citizens to take some step forward to solve the psychological stress among migrant workers by providing them dignity, respect, empathy, and by listening to their concern, as well as realizing them their importance in community and appreciating their contribution for the society. Even the government of India has launched One Nation, One Ration Card scheme, which allow NFSA card holders, particularly migrants, to claim either whole or a part of food gain from any FPS situated anywhere in the country through existing ration card, which with biometric Aadhaar authentication. So by our joining hands together, only then we can reduce the psychological stress among migrant workers because they play a major role in our economy, building up the infrastructure and in our daily-to-daily requirements.
A documentary of ground survey. A response from
जो है
NGO.
माइग्रेंट लेबरर्स के साथ काम करते हैं तो हमारे लिए उनको हेल्प करना बहुत जरूरी है। तो हम लोगों ने उनको राशन प्रोवाइड करना शुरू किया और हम लोगों ने 45,000 राशन किट्स बांटे जो है।
Thank you.
Thank you, Team 6. I would request the jury to go for the interjection. Thank you.
My only question is, what was the timeline when this study was conducted?
Ma'am, you're not audible. Can you repeat?
What was the timeline? When was this study conducted?
Ma'am, it was conducted last week of December and first 2 weeks of January 2022.
Okay. And and one of your slides showed a Google form.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
One of your slides, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. One of the slides showed a Google form. So all the study was conducted through the Google form, or primary survey, as was shown later, was also conducted.
Ma'am, we surveyed migrant workers through ground survey and we took public opinion through Google Forms about how they feel about migrant workers.
About their emotions, about their perspective about migrant workers and their emotions.
Whose emotions? The people who were the employers of the migrant workers, or people who had nothing to do with the migrant workers?
Ma'am, we surveyed the owners of the houses where migrant workers were employed. We surveyed their owners through Google Forms.
All right. Thank you.
Hello. I would like to ask, like, stress, fear, and anxiety have, like, emerged as three dominant emotions that migrant workers expressed. So what I want to ask here is, like, what were these emotions all about? Like, stress about what, fear about what, and anxiety about what? Did you have a chance to ask
Yes.
them? Like, yes, can you reflect on that?
Yes, so we have a chart in our interpretation about what was the reasons why they felt certain emotions, and one of them, about 70% of respondents were about loss of livelihood and how are they going to recover from it, because it's very difficult to get job in this phase of pandemic, and as they have a very little savings and they do have their family concerns, they are very far from their families. So these are some of the problems and stress which they faced about.
There were many instances when they are not able to to rent their houses. They have to take loans to even for living for living there for level survivor. They are not having, the main cause for their anxiety is the money that they don't have. And one thing that we found from our survey is that they do not find any social exclusion in cities. Actually, they are facing, but they do not consider it social exclusions. Or according to their perspective, they consider that social exclusion is only where they reside. It is more based on casteism, which they face in their place of hometown.
Okay. So the second question is, in your study, did you find like, because there was a migration, right? It's about migrant workers. There was a movement from their workplaces, that's a city, back to their hometowns. So did this event, like COVID-19 and the effect of it, that people had to go back, did that reestablish the attachment to their workplaces, like to the way they made sense of the city of Delhi? Because if they've come to Delhi, and they've lived here, there's a certain type of an emotional attachment that it is giving them livelihoods. But when they had to move back out of distress, did that reestablish or destabilize a certain meaning that they had with the city?
So it certainly sort of created confusion and doubtfulness in their mind, because they were not having much information about what's going on with them when this COVID break out. And one of the respondents also replied that how his father used to work in Delhi as a painter, and he died due to COVID-19 when he migrated to his hometown. And after that, he left his studies and he came to this place and worked here for his family. So there are very some personal narrations and instances where they say that they do faces some sort of these stresses.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now moving forward, I would invite Team 7, and members of Team 7 are Sudhanshu, Saurabh, Soumya, and Ajay. And their topic is Mango Plants and Economy During Monsoon, a case study of Ghanshampur. Is Team 7 present here?
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Saurabh Singh, along with my team members, have worked on the topic, the mango economy during monsoon, a case study of Ghanshampur. Mango belongs to family Anacardiaceae. It is a family of flowering plants. Mangoes are very rich in antioxidants and fibers, as well as are a good source of vitamin C. It means it helps in procuring a healthy life. Apart from health aspect, these are also very delicious to eat, and that's why it makes mango one of the most important commercially grown fruit crop of India. And Malihabad is a proclaimed belt of mango in Uttar Pradesh, famous for its prized variety of Dasheri. Monocropping of mango is the mainstay of livelihood. Apart from it, floriculture and olericulture are also practiced in our study area. Research problems. In our topic, the dimension of emotional geography is connected with the issue of unemployment during non-fruiting season and economic welfare of farmers. Aims and objectives. The main aim was to properly understand the economy of Ghanshampur and the adversities faced by the farmers. The objectives were to assess the economic condition of the population in research area, investigate the input-output ratio, examine the lives of people in non-fruiting season as to how they conduct their livelihood when there is no source of income, and analyzing the problems faced by the farmers in today's time. Our study area is Ghanshampur. It is a village of Malihabad Tehsil in Lucknow. In Ghanshampur, the mango orchards cover an area of 25 hectares. The village is drained by Behta Nala, one of the 5 tributaries of River Gumti. The soil cover is alluvium. As you can see in the maps attached, this is the area of Ghanshampur. The pie chart in the left shows the distribution of agricultural land 15 years ago. At that time, only 20% of total land were employed in mango farming, but in recent times, it has increased to around 70%, and thus 30 is employed in floriculture and activities. Methodology. The research was conducted to systematically analyze the economy of the concerned area, and for this purpose, primary as well as secondary method of data collection was employed. First-hand collection of quantitative as well as qualitative data has been done via various surveys and personal interviews. And we collected the data with sole advertence. We paid heed that we did not manipulate or intervene in any data collected. The data collected via interviews were recorded by our mobile phones, and later in-depth interpretation has been done. This is a chart showing methods employed. We used primary as well as secondary data methods. The interviews conducted were personal, as well as some group interviews were also conducted. And the questionnaire had both open-ended as well as close-ended questions. Now observations and findings. Firstly, we'll discuss the major problems we found. The first major problem is that more than 80% population earns less than 1.5 lakhs per annum, which is very less. And as monocropping is prevalent, whole economy revolves around the fruiting season. After that, majority of population remains unemployed. Weather vagaries and altered pest dynamics are also a reason of distress of farmers. Cheap and poor quality of insecticides and pesticides, which the farmers use there, is adversely affecting the health of the trees. And there is only a single market called the Dubagga Mandi. Due to this, the farmers don't get good price for the fruits. And insects like mango hoppers, mealybug, fruit flies damage the fruits and trees. This is some information about above mentioned insects and pests. So the economy of Ghanshampur is broadly divided into 4 major categories. First is the practice of mango farming. Second is the nurseries. Third is floriculture and olericulture. The Sheri, Chausa, Langda, Ramkela, these are some major varieties of mangoes grown here. And flowers like marigold, chrysanthemum, and gladius are grown. And vegetables like peas, bottle gourd, coriander, brinjal, etc. are grown. So this is a table depicting the input, output, and profit comparison between 2006 and 2021. 15 years ago, 1 bigha of land required around 5,000 as input. The output cost was around 20 to 25,000, and the profit resulted to around 15,000 to 20,000. In present times, the input cost is much high at around 15,000. The output has also increased around 40,000. But when we calculate the net profit, we see that it's almost kind of stagnant. That is 20 to 25,000. That's why farmers are very we can see in this graph that the average production per biga or 0.4 hectare has dipped from 3 ton to 2.4 ton in last 15 years. Suggestions. The government should carry out drives, educational drives to educate farmers about new techniques and methods to increase their yield. More government operated market should be established in the area. Scientific pruning and shaping should be done after harvesting. And government must keep a check on locally manufactured plant medicines, which are available in the market without any check that harm the trees. Conclusion. In conclusion, I would just say that mango farming is an age-old heritage of the people of Ghanshyampuр and Malihabad, and it should be carried on with a proper blend of science and technological innovation so that the farmers might get benefited. Thank you, judges and other members present here. I would also like to thank my team members who worked on this topic along with me. Thanks.
Thank you, Team 7. Now I would request the jury for the interjection.
Saurabh, I would wish to ask you a very simple question. This is a case study of Ghanshyampuр. Why Ghanshyampuр?
Ma'am, because one of our members lived there, and it was convenient for us to conduct our research there. And we wanted to show that the problems the farmers face there in the non-fruiting season. So that's why we chose that particular village.
Okay. When you conducted this research, did you keep the theme of this conclave in mind while conducting the research?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Saurabh, in your methodology, you mentioned personal views, focus groups, but I don't see anything in your presentation which talks about that data that you have collected.
Sorry, sir, can you please repeat the question?
No, I'm saying in your methodology slide, I see you've written personal views. Am I audible?
Sir, your voice is lagging.
Hello?
Yes, sir, now you are audible, please.
I'm audible, right? Okay. So I'm saying in your methodology slide, you have written about personal interviews, focus groups. So I don't see any data which is being represented on the slides about it. So what about it? Like, what did you find from there?
Yes, so data related to the production before 15 years ago and now, and the input, output, and the profit. We collected those by personal interviews from each and every farmer of that village. We compiled that data, and the data we presented here is the average of all the data collected by each farmer.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions, Professor Bose? I think we can call the next team for the presentation.
Thank you. Moving forward, we will call the last team, that is Team 8. And the members of Team 8 are Ananya, Akansha, Aditi, and Devanshi. And their topic is Gomti River, Lifeline of Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. Is Team 8 present here?
Yes.
Okay. Kindly present your screen.
Can you present the screen? लखनऊ में दरिया ए गोमती कुछ ठहरी हुई ऐसी है कि एक किनारे से दूसरे किनारे तक दबे पाव बहती है. A very warm greeting to all the respected jury members. I, Ananya Krishnaraj, along with my teammates, here before you to address you regarding Gomti River, lifeline of Lucknow. Here I go with my short presentation sharing the main source of information about the river and its pollutant bodies. What all are the views of the people? Not wasting any time, here we go on. For studying any country, we need to study about two aspects, the cultural aspect and the geographical aspect. And for studying the geographical aspect, we cannot leave the rivers out. इंडिया इंडिया में नदियों को माँ का दर्जा दिया जाता है. वो माँ जो हमें जिंदगी देती है, वो माँ जो हमें चलना सिखाती है, वो माँ जो हमें खाना देती है, और वो माँ जो हमारे गलती करने पे हमें डांटती भी है. वैसे ही लखनऊ में माँ का दर्जा गोमती को दिया गया है. गोमती लखनऊ की सोल है. गोमती सबसे पुरानी रिवर है, गंगा से भी और जब हिमालय नहीं थे तब से भी. Above 50 million plus people lives depend on it. Let us go and discuss the concept of our research. In our research, we have tried to cover the emotional aspect, the economical aspect, the cultural aspect, and the views of the people and how they are connected to the river. The area fed by the Gomti River is divided into two regions, as we can see in the map. 90 to 95% of this Gomti area receives its water from the river, while only 35% of the Transgo area is fed by it. The area that we included in our study, Gau Ghat, for studying the water distribution in the city, Kuriya Ghat for understanding the relevance of various governmental initiatives, Pakka Pul for the historical importance, Daliganj for the lifestyle of fishermen, Hanuman Setu for the religious aspect along with the life of boatsmen and washermen. The methodology adopted for the research is represented in the slide. We have focused more on the interview and photographic method along with the surveying and field visits. With this research, we have aimed to understand the basic issues regarding the depletion of groundwater level, to lessen the pollution rate, understanding the drainage and sewage pattern, to restore the lifeline for the healthy growth of the city. The problems that we have dealt with in our research are depletion in water level, water pollution, economic problems, and loss of biodiversity. As we went for the survey, we found that initial water riverbed has now been encroached and the wide width of the river has greatly reduced. The sole responsibility of the reduction of water level can be held by the growing urbanization of the city. Coming to the second research problem was the water pollution. We found that 37 drains were opening in the river in the Lucknow city alone. And by combining the near villages and some unrecorded drains, the increased number goes to 57. We met different people who live, depend on the river, as we have attached the photograph of Suresh Kannaujiya, whose family has been doing the job of washerman for over 3 generations. But when we asked that will it be continued by the further generations, he denied. He said, हम नहीं चाहते हमारे आने वाली पीढ़ियां भी ऐसी गंदी जगह पे काम करें. He also pointed out the mismanagement of the government development authorities who less converted the major regions of the Ghat as dumping grounds on the excuse of beautifying some small regions of the bank of the Kuriya Ghat and Gomti river front. The deteriorating condition of the river is also leading to the loss of income of the fishermen and boatsmen and tourism department at a larger scale. The first image represents the reduction of the water level at Hanuman Setu, the religious waste thrown in the river also belongs there. The household waste image has been taken from Pakapul, and the remaining two images of the algae formation and contamination of water shows the picture of Kuriya Ghat. And the last problem that we have researched on was the loss of biodiversity and health problems. Earlier, there used to be 20 governmental, more than 20 governmental and non-governmental sports clubs, which held different competitions of swimming and boating. But now, leave the swimming. We cannot dare to touch the water due to the fear of different skin diseases. The condition of river has been worsened. The marine life has been declined. First, there were 8 species. Now only 2 are left. The rare sea snail, whose auriculum produced the famous Gomti Chakra, is also missing. In the historical times, the river was known as Dhenumati, which means the water of Gomti was compared to the purity of the cow's milk. And today we have converted such a serene river into a bunch of drains. A few suggestions that can help in the betterment of the condition of the Gomti River is building of sewage treatment plants at the required places, cleanliness drives with mechanized instruments, no construction of the on the banks of the river, along with the prohibition of encroachment, growing trees on the banks of the river in order to discharge the groundwater level, recharge the groundwater level, and the demarcation, the natural boundary of the river. As we can see that it is a dying river and we need to protect it. So we need to step up. It's high time now to take individual responsibility and become the 1% among the remaining 99% to make the Gomti River clean 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, teammate. Now I would request the jury members for the interjection.
I have no questions to ask. If the other judges have anything.
I have no questions for this presentation. Yeah, thank you for the presentation.
Technical team, please make unmute or make co-host Professor Payal. I think he had reconnected.
I have no questions.
Thank you, judges. This was the last team presenting for this technical session. We thank you for participating enthusiastically.
Bache, Upriti, please hold for a minute. Our third jury member, I think he's not able to unmute. Technical team, please
Yes,
make Professor Payal Basu as co-host so that he'll be able to unmute himself.
Yes, ma'am. I think now he will be able to speak.
Okay. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience, Professor Payal. Would you like to have some question here? Okay, student, I think you may please move ahead. Professor Payal, maybe some connectivity issue.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, judges. This was the last team presenting for this technical session. We thank you for participating enthusiastically. For further updates, I request Dr. Rashmi Rani Anand to please take the dais.
Okay, so I guess it seems we are done with all the presentations for this technical session 1. So I would like to extend my warm thanks to esteemed judges of today's NGYC 2022, Diksha ma'am, Basu sir, and Kiran sir for their patience listening, Dave for well managing this event, student team and participants. So now we wind up for this technical session, and here we take a break, and I request all of you to join us at technical session 2 sharply by 2 o'clock. And I would like to make one announcement that link for all the technical sessions are same. So you all can join through that link. So thank you all once again. Poonam ma'am, you want to update anything, ma'am?
No, that's fine. Our technical session 1 has moved up very smoothly, and our judges are really managing and intervening and asking very interesting questions. I'm really enjoying the session. We'll be meeting again at 2 o'clock sharp. Dear participants, please ensure all the instructions that are already been conveyed to you, right? And be available 10 minutes before 2 o'clock. We'll be starting sharp at 2. Dear jury members, we'll be breaking for 10 minutes and we'll be meeting again at 2 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.